Alrighty, I think we're good to go. Welcome everyone. 7:04, I'm gonna kick it in for Lisa's benefit. Thank you all for coming. First up, first order of business is adoption of the agenda. I know we did this last time. Let me see if I can make it work again. Turn on screen sharing.
Oh.
Screen sharing.
Go over here somewhere. Do you click?
You're the host.
Oh. Okay. You can text it. Sorry, y'all.
There's Eva. Hi, Eva.
Hi.
I don't know. I don't know how to do this.
Hey, Eva.
Text me the agenda.
Lucy, your hair is getting as long as mine, I think.
Yes, it is.
You can just read the agenda out loud.
That's why I cut mine the other day.
Sarah, hi. Hold
Okay, so
Did you send it to me?
no,
How did we do this last time?
I don't know, because Susan turned it on. Sorry, everyone. One moment, please.
I thought this was just how Zoom meetings always started.
First, we should all be showing each other our cats.
I think all the comedians think this too.
Sorry, I have no idea. Anyone with more experience with Zoom can tell me how to enable screen sharing or share my own screen. Here,
Okay.
did you send it to
I
me?
just sent it to you.
Okay, thanks. I know how to share my own.
Pretty experienced with Zoom, Kim, if you need help.
Okay, I'll have it up in a sec. Oh, here. Okay. Let me know if you can see.
Alrighty,
it.
can
See the whole thing.
everyone see the agenda?
Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, so are there any last minute changes and would like to suggest the agenda? Anything we need to add or modify? I do know that.
I can add an update on the linear park.
It's on here.
Yeah, I figure we'd be pitching it to you on that, yeah.
Sorry, I saw the heart of the neighborhood.
No problem. Okay, so do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Okay.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
And assume, any opposed? All right, the agenda is adopted as stands. Next up, the minutes from last month. Everyone read, was the first thing you read in the newsletter? Went straight to that page. Do I have a motion to adopt the general minutes or approve the general minutes from last month? Anybody?
Move.
Move. Have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, minutes from last month are approved. Okay, on something a little more fun. I'm pretty sure we've got some new folks here, and I don't want to put anybody on the spots, but just briefly, if this is your first meeting, would you just give us a quick word, like tell us who you are and maybe what brought you out tonight? Why this meeting? What grabbed you about this one?
I'm Gina, and I was invited by Kim So this is my first Zoom meeting, so y'all bear with me. I have no idea what I'm doing.
You're doing it so far. You're good. Okay. You can see us, we can see you, we can hear you. That all works. Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay. Who's next?
I'll go next.
Hey,
Okay.
oh, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Daisy. I live on the 900 block of Woodlawn. This is my first neighborhood meeting, but I've been renting here since March or so, and I will be in this neighborhood until at least March of next year. But I've been a part of the Facebook group, and I really enjoy the commentary there and the posts. So I saw the link, and I decided to join tonight.
Excellent. Well, thank you for coming. Okay. Anybody else?
Karen and Justin Lindbergh.
Hello.
Hi. We live on Fulton. Yeah.
First Zoom meeting for me, so I don't know.
They're generally pretty painless. Okay. Who else? Anybody? Alrighty, that it. Well, I thank you all for coming out and taking that plunge. Oh no. Yeah.
I'm last.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Dana. I live on Wisachi, and I just moved in 2 weeks ago. I have a roommate as well. She's working right now, so she couldn't be on the Zoom. But we're renting, and we'll be here for at least a year. And we both are from Ohio, so this is our first time in Texas. And yeah, for me, I'm just looking to be involved in the community, and it's weird pandemic times, but I'd like to get to know my neighbors. Like I live really close to Kim. Hi, Kim.
I
Well, excellent.
Yeah.
Well,
And Daniel.
we're glad
Welcome to the hood.
Yeah, glad you made that plunge. Most people don't jump in quite that quickly to the meeting, so appreciate that. Anybody else? So, okay, all right. Well, thank you all. It's a lot of newbies the first time. I appreciate it. Okay. Okay, so now it is time to go to our first presentation. We're going to get some updates on what VIA has going on and their plans coming up. John Tiemann, I'm sure you can pick him out. You can tell who that is. So we're gonna turn it over to him for a few minutes. Go.
Daniel, thank you so much. And if it's okay with you, sir, I'd like to share my screen. Is that okay? Oh, maybe not. Okay.
No, that's
You're
fine.
muted, Daniel.
Yeah.
Short answer is yes. Hopefully it'll be a little smoother for you than it was for me. So.
What does it do?
Give it a try and let's see how it works out.
Okay. And no luck, and that's okay. That's okay.
Well, yeah, we'll fix it. You start talking, but what is it saying?
It's saying that the host has disabled screen sharing, which is okay.
But
we're gonna work on that. So.
but we can ourselves choose to see you over the whole.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
If you have a presentation, like I assume Kim or Daniel, you guys are the ones that are the hosts on this, just email it over to them and then they can share.
Okay.
I mean, that's an option if you want to do that.
Yeah, and that's quite all right. I'll go ahead and just jump into Keep San Antonio. We'll make it a little bit more informal and relaxed instead of an academic presentation of sorts. So good evening, everyone. My name is John Tiemann. I am the manager of public involvement for VIA. I've been there for almost 3 years now, and through my time at VIA, though brief, we have gone from a rapid transit corridor study, which we rolled up into what we were calling VIA Reimagined, and we had a very strong campaign and a lot of grassroots community involvement and success with that campaign from January of this year through all of last year. And then, of course, like we've all experienced, COVID-19 overnight changed our lives, and VIA got involved in a significant way with the community with our VIA Cares program, where we had mobility hotspots throughout key locations in the community, make sure that folks had internet access, volunteering with the San Antonio Food Bank. And during that time, we transitioned from VIA Reimagined into what we're calling Keep San Antonio Moving. Now, what Keep San Antonio Moving is, it's a plan designed to improve the transit mobility network that not only contributes to the economy, but also addresses the growth that the region is going to be experiencing by the year 2040. In fact, over the next 20 years, we're looking at having somewhere of 3 million people move to San Antonio. That's an additional 1.5 million people coming to our region. To put it another way, it's like all of Austin deciding to have to San Antonio area. So the challenge that we have as a community, and for the transportation planners and the urban planners that work for the municipality and our municipalities and the county and for VIA, is how are we going to accommodate that growth? And there's different plans and different functions within the community and the agencies that work for us. TxDOT has some plans, the city of San Antonio, the other municipalities that are in Bexar County, Bexar County itself, the MPO, the RMA, and of course VIA. VIA, we have a transit plan that is looking to accommodate that growth. And although I can't show you a map right now,
yeah, actually, give it a try because I found the setting. So
oh, okay, great.
See if it should work now.
Nice. Okay.
Yay!
Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone needs to mute their audio because anytime a sound is made, your picture pops up.
Oh, okay. So let me kind of find my spot here. We're gonna go a little out of order, but that's okay. So this is kind of where we were at just now. We were talking about the population growth. And if there's an echo or something, I don't hear one, but maybe raise your hand, let me know, and we can address the echo as well. So as I was saying, an additional 1.5 million or so people coming to San Antonio. With them comes their traffic congestion, their cars, longer commute times. I mentioned the different municipalities, the agencies or entities that are going to be helping mitigate that growth so that we're ready for it as a community, because these individuals, they're coming here whether we like it or not. And so we have to be able to plan for that growth and anticipate that growth. So here we're getting back into the original flow of the presentation, and I wanted to share with the group kind of how VIA is funded today. Now, VIA has a half-cent sales tax that was voted in 1977 to help fund then the San Antonio Transit Authority, now VIA Metropolitan Transit. In the early 2000s, I was muted for a second. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay, all right. So in the early 2000s, the city of San Antonio and its residents voted on the creation of an advanced transportation district, which looked at leveraging technology and other innovative ways to improve transportation for our network. So VIA gets a portion of that, and then the remaining portion of the sales tax is broken into Edwards Aquifer Protection as it is today, Pre-K for SA, leveraging those advanced transportation district dollars for other causes throughout the Bexar County community. So that's kind of how the funding for what was anticipated to be a whole cent sales tax for VIA is used for other causes that the community also believed to be a priority. So now let's jump into how funding drives service. So we have about a 2,000 square mile service area, or 2,000, did I say that, 200? We have a service area that's comparable to the size of Metro Houston, though we get significantly less funding than Houston, as you can see here in this chart. They almost get 4 times as much funding that we received here at VIA. And the other metropolitan areas, Dallas or the DART system, Cap Metro and Austin, again, all receiving a whole cent to help fund the transit service that they provide in their communities. So over the past 2 or 3 years, you know, I had mentioned Via Reimagine. Before that, there was a rapid transit corridor study. And not too long before that, we had our Vision 2040 plan, where we solicited input from the community to determine, okay, what are the priorities of the community? What service would they like to see Via provide to the region? So over the course of engaging 50,000 individuals, over 10,000 surveys, over 6,000 comments received, it boiled down to 5 things: that shorter wait times, more weekend and late night service, faster connections, more direct service, and shorter travel time. So now we're looking at this plan, we're like, okay, we're figuring out how we're going to start improving transit and transportation in the region, given the guiding principles that the community has provided to us. Take those 5 things that the community said, boil them down to 3 things. That is improving the system, connecting more people to more places with better frequency, and recognizing that technology has provided us a way to expand the mobility options that we can provide, whether it's partnering with other businesses to have that first and last mile connection, or like our success on the northeast side of San Antonio via Link, where folks prior to via Link, which is an Uber Lyft service, were waiting up to an hour for a bus, but now they're waiting about 10 minutes or less to get anywhere within a zone. So we're thinking strategically as to where we can place those zones, and I'll cover that more in a little bit. Thirdly, of course, as technology changes and should we receive additional funding, we can look at other ways in which we can better improve transportation and transit as a whole in the region, whether it's through the rapid transit or buses and dedicated lanes, a universal travel app so that you don't have to go and use different apps to get from point A to point B. You'll have one unified way in which you can navigate the city. And of course, attract federal dollars so that we can leverage funding that we receive to invest in our community through capital projects. So improving the transit system, what does that look like? Well, at a high level, it includes faster trips, more service, and shorter travel times. More routes will have frequencies of 30 minutes or better. Of course, just like the community has shared with us, we're going to have more evening, late night, and weekend service, and improving the transit coverage. Although we cover a lot of San Antonio and Bexar County, there's always ways in which we can improve the transit coverage by better frequency or by better technology. So I mentioned Via Link, and this is kind of talks about what that is, which again is an Uber-like service. And I'm sorry, did somebody have a question? Okay, well, if someone has a question while I'm presenting, please let me know. Happy to address questions as we go through the presentation. So here's a map of the region. Our Via Link area here, I'll turn on what I believe to be the laser. Let's see, there we go, pin color, laser pointer, there we go. Okay, so here on the northeast side is our Via Link area. I believe this is Thousand Oaks, 35 to 1604 to 281. So anywhere within this zone, prior to 2 years ago, we would have what would be an hour-long frequency or hour-long wait time for a bus. Now you're waiting less than 10 minutes. Dodge Caravan that's branded as a Via Link vehicle picks you up and can take you anywhere in that zone. And if you would like to use our fixed route service, you can do that as well and go anywhere else within our coverage area. Now, the other blue zones that you see here are also MOD zones that we're looking in which we could implement a service like Via Link, if not Via Link exactly. Thirdly, you see the innovation zones, and really what that is the South Texas Medical Center, the Port San Antonio and Brooks, and looking how we can connect first and last mile partnerships with the service that we provide, so that it's a little bit more comprehensive in getting folks from point A to point B. So investing in technology and the capital improvements. I talked about it, and here it is at a high level, updating the navigation and planning tools. So imagine an app, if you will, with your phone that integrates with all the services or mobility options within the region. So again, not having to connect to Uber or Lyft or to Yellow Cab or to the hundreds of different scooter companies that are out there. Integrating those planning and payment options into one app. Expanding the real-time information and communication systems, building upon what we see with TxDOT with ITS, and we can have real-time information for the buses and for the other mobility options within the region as well. And of course, begin the preparation for the advanced rapid transit network, which is, again, buses in dedicated lanes with 10-minute or better frequency, getting you from north-south, east-west, and more long-term northeast, northwest, southwest, southeast. So to roll it all up, keep San Antonio moving. The plan itself, as designed, is intended to do these 6 things: support the growing population, connect more people to more jobs, support workforce, improve quality of transit, not only the speed but the reach, maintain the opportunity for vulnerable populations, and of course, secure federal funding. And if you're looking to learn more, there's a much longer, huge compiled PDF at keepsamoving.com where you can learn a whole lot more. We go into a lot more of the detail, but I want to be respectful of the time that Beacon Hill Neighborhood Association provided to me. And with that, if you have any questions, I'm happy to take them. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Does have anyone have any questions they'd like to throw out?
John, I was curious. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Sean.
I was just going to ask, I've heard 20 minutes thrown out as a service interval threshold for when people stop feeling like they have to kind of plan to catch the bus and they can just go by the bus stop knowing that there's going to be one by soon. So I was curious where we had come up with the 30-minute target for the plan that you mentioned here.
Yeah, so the 30-minute frequency that you see there, that's identifying, okay, where is our ridership? How can we best accommodate the ridership that we have today? But that 30 minutes is by no means set in stone. There could be other mobility on-demand options, like I mentioned, the Via Link service that we provide, that we could look to where the average frequency would actually decrease. So that 30-minute frequency doesn't take into account that mobility on-demand service that we provide, just because we don't know exactly what that looks like. But for the fixed route service, that pink area that you saw just a moment ago, that would have some 30-minute frequency in there, or better. Right now, we still have some routes, unfortunately, that are 60 minutes frequency, and that's not desirable for us. That's not desirable for our customers. So if we can have nothing beyond 30 minutes, that's a huge step in the right direction.
Gotcha. So we're thinking of that as a ceiling rather than a mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Thank you.
I got one. Can I talk now?
Yes, that's
Oh,
cool.
hey. So now I'm just curious, like how like every bus that says like 16 people per bus going down some of the major roads, are the buses being frequently more often because like not even clean, but just more buses because you're losing half of your capacity per bus? And I've been on some of those buses and like they're pretty packed sometimes, like going down Fredericksburg or Blanco for say.
Yes, sir. So no, that's a good question. So for the benefit of the group, I will touch briefly on some of the protocols that we have at VIA to make sure that we're keeping our passengers safe and our bus operators safe. So when you're boarding the bus, we require that you wear a face mask, which is the norm from the governor down to the municipalities. And you're right, to maintain the social distance, we implemented a 16 maximum on our buses. Now that's done a couple things. To your point, they get crowded, so then we have to rush in another bus to pick up more customers on a particularly busy route, which is happening more frequently, which means we've had to modify service in other areas where the routes weren't performing to the expectation that we need them to, and repurpose those buses to make sure that we're meeting the demand of our high-performing routes.
Yeah, and give me 15 minutes.
Unfortunately, what that means is because we're already stretched thin as it is as an agency with the half-cent sales tax that we receive today, we've had to, again, repurpose routes, or because of emergency family leave or EFLMA, and our operators having to take time off to take care of their kids early on. Again, trying to balance the service we provide given the conditions that we're operating in, but also recognizing the budgetary constraint that we have as well.
like maybe if I missed the bus back up at the medical center and I had, another 15 minutes for the bus, and that's, at capacity already, then you're like 2 buses behind to pick up what's at, like, I'm saying, like Fredericksburg and medical. And that's a huge district or a huge spot right there. So
Yeah, no, and that's a good point. That is a challenge that we continue to have of meeting the demand, so that we connect folks from point A to point B. But the trade-off with meeting that demand, of course, is making sure that everyone is safe, and safety is our top priority.
yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So John, the city for the last 2 years has provided me with a $10 million grant in order to.
Cosima, you've got a lot of lag there, so it's not coming through very well.
Cosima, your best bet's going to be to drop off and dial back in using your cell phone rather than Zoom.
Or if she turned on for
So,
video.
John, is that better?
Yes, Cosima, I can hear you now.
Okay. So it's my understanding that for the last 2 years, the city has provided VIA with a $10 million grant each year in order to be able to increase route service on routes. Is that correct?
That is correct. We had a handful of routes where again, the city, to your point, Cosima, you're absolutely right. The city allocated $10 million for VIA to improve the frequency on some routes to see, okay, if there is an investment into the service VIA provides, will we see a change in ownership? And as Sean mentioned earlier, as frequency
I'm going to interrupt briefly. Rob Gomez, Rob, can you mute your mic? Can you mute your microphone? Sorry to call you out.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
So as a city, this experiment that was spearheaded by Ray Saldana, former councilman and former VIA chair, actually. If we were to invest that $10 million in the service that VIA provides, would we see a ridership improvement given the frequency improvement? And to Sean's point, what he was talking about earlier was, he saw in an AMPO study, the 20-minute or better frequencies when people begin to actually start considering transit. And we saw that at VIA. We improved the frequency of some key routes, and as a result of that, $10 million, our ridership increased. And thankfully, I think through the budgetary conversations that had taken place at the city, it looks like they're committed to reallocating that funding to VIA for the next fiscal year as well.
I'm sorry. So you said the city is looking to reallocate that funding for what period of time?
As far as I know, it's for this year. I don't have all the specifics on that right now, Cosima. I apologize.
Okay, because the question I have is with the reallocation or the shift in funding to the 1/8 cent sales tax, y'all won't see that money until like 2025, right?
Yeah. So should
should it pass?
Yeah. Should it pass? Should the voters opt to vote to reallocate funding to VIA? VIA, as far as I know, will not see that funding until 2025, 2026.
So what is VIA's plan in the meantime?
VIA's plan in the meantime is to see where we can implement some of these concepts, some of these ideas, if not begin to lay the groundwork. As part of our rapid transit corridor study, it was more of a layered on top of what we were calling our better bus system, which is a lot friendlier than the transit speak of comprehensive operational analysis. So what goes into those two components to make sure that the rapid transit corridor piece, if you look at it as a layer of a cake, that second tier or third tier, we'd have to reshift service so that it's more efficient and more effective and better lines up with other initiatives that we have down the road. So there is still planning, there are still additional initiatives that we can utilize today that through whether it's grants or other sources, we can still provide some improvements or again, lay the groundwork for future improvements down the road.
And then I have one last question. If the voters approve your initiative in November, will that allow you to start leveraging federal funds right away?
Gosima, that's a good question. I don't have the answer for you, but I'm happy to follow up.
All right, thank you.
I'll let whoever wants to introduce me, but I may have an answer to that question.
Sure, John, go ahead. Yeah, if you feel something you could jump in on, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Good to see you. My name's John Bailey. I work for the NRDC Action Fund, and I'm working for the grassroots organization that's been formed, Vote Yes for Transit, that's really trying to take a lot of the amazing work that VIA has done, that John has described, and kind of take that theory into action and kind of get the funding that VIA needs to make this stuff work. Let me quickly get to, I apologize, I don't know everybody, but Cosima was the name, I believe.
Yes.
She asked about, will this allow VIA to begin to leverage federal funds? I asked that exact question to VIA's federal policy person, Leroy, and the answer I got is that is the strong hope. It's not 100% for sure, but it's an important point you raised because, I mean, John mentioned all this chronic underfunding that VIA has received, especially compared to other cities in Texas. And what that has meant is that we've not been able to get federal funding for a lot of the work that VIA needs to do. So Cosima's point is spot on. The hope is that even if we don't receive the money till 2026, the federal government will see that, hey, this money's coming in, so we can start to leverage some money early on and pay it back later. So that's a long-winded answer to you. I'm just letting you know that a lot of people are thinking about that, and there's no for sure answer yet, but people are hoping and praying. But why don't I go ahead and talk about what Vote Yes for Transit is doing. And we are on November 3rd. There will be a ballot initiative. It'll be called Prop A on the ballot. Y'all are probably aware that there'll be a lot of people on the ballot on November 3rd and a lot of initiatives. We'll be at the back of the ballot, the most important place, and it will be called Prop A. And in some ways, San Antonio, I think, is frankly in a lucky place funding-wise. And this is how I mean that. You know, we have all this amazing work that VIA has been doing, even with this chronic underfunding, but we actually have a transit sales tax we can reallocate to be used for transit. For the last 40 years, unlike Houston, Dallas, and Austin, we have not been using this transit sales tax for transit. And right now, that sales tax is expiring, and we can reallocate that 1/8 of a cent for transit. And this is critical for all the reasons that John mentioned. You know, I love the question about the, I guess it was Cosima as well, about the $10 million that the city has been paying for VIA to increase frequency and service. And I think that just, you know, people spend all sorts of money in academic studies, like what really makes people take transit? What'll do it? And you increase frequency, you get more people taking transit. You reduce wait times, you get more people taking transit. Sometimes in life, things aren't super complicated, they're kind of simple, but it does take funding, and that's what VIA has not had for the last 40 years. And this 1/8 of a cent can't get us all the way there, but can get us part of the way there. I'm not gonna kind of just replay everything that John talked about, but I'll just mention 3 big things that are important. First of all, the AIDS and the pandemic response. You know, a lot of people say that, you know, no one's taking transit anymore, but first of all, a lot of people are taking transit, and in San Antonio, more so than most other places. Some places have seen like an 80 or 90% drop off. In San Antonio, it's only been 50%. And that's because San Antonio has more essential workers in San Antonio. Thousands of people every day depend on transit to get to school and to get to work. So it's critical for our pandemic response, vital for our recovery, to get frontline workers back to work and get to new jobs. And finally, and this was always been the case, but critical for our long-term prosperity. You know, we talked about the 1 million people coming here in the next 10 years. We have to have safe and convenient transportation options to move people around. That doesn't mean that everybody's taking the bus to do everything. Doesn't even mean that you're ever taking the bus. But even if you never take the bus, having a well-funded transit system helps you because it gets more of those people off the roads. And again, gives people safe and easy choices to get there. So we've been meeting with labor unions, Chamber of Commerce's, civic organizations, groups representing the disabled community, lots of other folks to get them to support this campaign now. This was not how we had it all planned out last year. We had a marvelous plan like everybody else did for your own personal and professional lives, I'm sure. COVID completely messed that up. And we have a new plan with the city council now, the Prop A, which, as somebody alluded to earlier, workforce will be for the first, which is completely separate than the VIA plan, but there will be workforce for the first 4 years, and then transit gets funded after that.
John, can I interrupt?
Yeah.
On that penny that you showed on your slide, is the available monies there at the expense of the aquifer?
I think you probably were talking to John because you mentioned the slide, but should I answer the question? Is that all right, John? Or do you
Well, you were talking, so.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I just want to make sure I didn't want to.
In my book.
I didn't want. I didn't want to interrupt John T. We both have great first names.
Either one.
Okay.
Bailey, go ahead, sir.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. It will. Yeah. Right now, that eighth of a cent is been supporting the aquifer funding and linear parks, and so the aquifer funding, the city council just voted last. Well, they didn't vote. They did a B session. It'll vote in the next couple weeks to use existing new solids revenues to fund the aquifer. And the county and the city are looking for opportunities for linear parks. So that is an expiring sales tax that'll now be reallocated for transit.
Thanks.
Yeah, of course. So that's where things are. I'm not going to go on a lot more. But again, it's all the important work VIA is doing and that John's talking about really won't happen unless we can get this eighth of a cent sales tax. It's Prop A. It'll be there November 3rd. I mentioned the different organizations we're getting to endorse and support. We would love to have Beacon Hill support us. We have a resolution that we can write up and share it with you all. I don't know how you go about making decisions, but at your own timeline. But that's what we're looking for tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And I have not been tracking the chats. If I missed somebody's question, you can ask me now, or I can look while you're asking.
No, I think you got everything.
I saw the aquifer question was here, and so.
I don't have a question, but I feel compelled to make a clarification on a couple of statements that you made regarding the 1/8 cent sales tax.
Yeah.
Anybody that knows me knows that I've been following this very closely because I am the District 1 representative on the Linear Creeks Parks Advisory Board. The county at their budget meeting last week, said the county manager said he wishes people would stop saying that they're going to fund the trails. They have not agreed to fund the trail. There was a commitment by Judge Wolf earlier in the year, but that was not supported by all of the commissioners. Commissioner Calvert, Precinct 4 in particular, wrote a scathing letter about the fact that this was sort of sprung on them. And at last week's budget meeting, he specifically brought it up again and asked the judge and asked the county manager if they are considering doing this funding, because he's been hearing from a lot of people that that's what's going to happen. And it was, again, the county manager said, I wish that the city and others would stop saying that because it is not the case. The judge said they won't even come up in discussion until next January. And so I just want to make sure that people are aware of that. And as for the aquifer protection plan, the city has put forward a proposal which involves debt financing. And city council did get a presentation on that at their special session last week. But that also, when you think about it, so you're going to continue to pay the 1/8 cent sales tax if it gets approved in November to go to workforce. And then somehow these other things are going to have to get funded, whether it's through debt financing through the city's municipal facilities corporation or some other way. And I'm not saying that that shouldn't be the case, or I'm not particularly advocating against it. I just want to make sure that folks get a complete picture of what is happening. And I think one of the things that's been most confusing for people is that they think that in November they'll get a choice on whether to vote for the aquifer or vote for education, and that's not the case. They will not get a choice. They will get a choice to vote yes or no on whether to fund the workforce and whether to fund VIA. So I just wanted to make sure that we have clear communication.
I think that's thank you for that. And I would add one thing, not in opposition to what you just said, but just as another point about transit funding specifically. I'm not an expert on the workforce initiative, only on VIA. And I do know about I've worked on other transit campaigns around the country, and overwhelmingly, the sales tax is the way you fund transit. I believe there are multiple ways you can fund aquifer and transit. Aquifer and trails. And we don't have those details figured out right now, but aquifer and trails will be funded through FY 2022. So there is time to figure this out. But the sales tax is overwhelmingly how transit is funded. And of course, being a transit sales tax, I think it makes the most sense for VIA. How workforce works out, I don't know, but for VIA, I think this is overwhelmingly how it does get funded.
All right. Did anyone else have anything they wanted to jump in with or ask about? Okay. Well, John Tiemann, John Bailey, I thank you very much for bringing this information to us.
Thank you so much for having me.
I really appreciate y'all. Thanks a lot.
For the time. Okay. And if you want you can stay if you want to see the rest of the details of our neighborhood meeting, but we will not hold it against you if you want to spare yourself that too. So either way, thank you.
For everyone in the group, I'm going to send the government and community relations email in the chat. So if you have any other questions, comments, or concerns, please get in contact with me.
Great, thank you. Okay. Alrighty, next up is our nominations committee. We have board elections coming up next month in October. So we're going to hear from our nominations committee for who is
Christina is going to, but I don't know if she can share screen. She can try.
I have no idea. So, Cosima, did you have something you wanted to put up, or we just want to talk about who our nominees are?
There we go. You might be muted. Cosima, we can't hear you. I don't know if you're trying to talk.
There, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, I can't see anybody, but can you see my document?
Yes.
Yes?
We can see from treasurer down. There you go.
Oh, okay, there we go. So I think this may have been incorrect here. I think this might belong actually down here. Is that correct, Sean?
I told Daniel that I am happy to serve wherever I am useful, but I have no particular aspirations to any particular office.
Okay, so what I might put you down for now then, I'm gonna do this and kind of any position needed thing. How's that? So we'll do that.
Perfect.
So theoretically, the president position is the only one that we don't have a firm candidate for. Jordan Gowie is going to move from director to vice president, running for. Diana has agreed to run again for treasurer. Taryn Limburg has agreed to run for secretary. Cynthia, are you running for secretary as well?
No.
No. Okay. And then Justin and Michael have agreed to run again for board, plus Gina Hashimoto has offered. Cynthia, did you want to run for board director?
I have a question. I know it's never been done, but is it possible to have co-presidents?
That would be, you'd have to look in the bylaws, I think, for that.
I don't think there's any provision
Nothing
for that.
specifically, yeah, there's nothing specifically in the bylaws to address that.
So I wonder if it's a
Well, I
possibility.
don't think anybody has the answer to that question then.
Yeah, I think that would be we could probably pass a resolution to allow it, but there's nothing that states one way or another right now whether that's acceptable. So.
And keep in mind, we do still have another month, and it's I think one of the concern may not be the right word, but being the president and is a little bit more of a job than any of the other positions, frankly, as Daniel can attest to, as anybody that has been president can attest to. And so I think having somebody that maybe has had some experience on the board before would be helpful, but it's not necessary. So Sean, for example, it would be probably a bit of a challenge, but he's got a good slate of people that are on the board. So you're never alone. So even if as president, you might be sort of at the top of the totem pole, you're not up there by yourself, teetering away. So, but if anybody has any suggestions or ideas, and we will take nominations from the floor at the meeting. That's our policy. Does anybody have any questions?
I would like to say, in my church, for instance, the past presidents have that there is a position for them as an advisor, and we might consider something like that.
Yeah, I know some neighborhood associations will keep their former president on as like sort of a, what do they call it, ex officio or ad hoc or one of those things. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen here so I can, there we go. So, I mean, those are changes I think we can consider. It's nothing we can consider before the next election because we would have to run it, if we were going to change the bylaws, that has to be done by, vote of the assembly after 2 meetings and so forth. So I have great hope that we can still get a little bit of interest in that president's position. And of course, Sean has offered to do whatever is needed, and that's a great backup plan.
Well, and I'm just going to throw out there and put her on the spot, but Cynthia, having had a deep experience on the board, if you were willing to run for president, that would solve some issues. So
I would be,
think about it.
But I also love that so many new people are moving up, and Sean seems like he'd be amazing. But I do think we're at a weird time, especially when our community plan is coming up. Like, I really would like for us, if he'd be willing to be co-presidents. And so he could just do it, if he was willing next year by himself. Not that he needs anyone to hold his hand, but we've got a lot of important issues coming up in this coming year. And
Cynthia, you're going to scare him off.
So maybe
I'm asking if we could consider a co-presidency if he's willing.
It seems like there would only be able to be one vote for that slot. Otherwise, we end up 8 people on the board and opportunities for ties. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. So that That would be one vote. Like even though there'd be two presidents, they'd only get one vote on the board.
It seems like the easiest way to
I agree.
slot it in would be to make it you guys have to arm wrestle for your vote or something.
Well,
Well, and
would there be a beneficial scenario if someone with legacy experience held a board position that wasn't like me? I know we said like Jordan's looking at vice president, but something like another named officer who could support the president, but it had more clarity a little bit than having co-presidents. So somebody like Sean, who's newer, can still sit in that president seat, but they can be supported by a vice president or another named chair that has more of a legacy on the board. Seems like maybe it would be a middle ground that provided some clarity, but I admittedly don't know that much about those positions.
That would be ideal, actually, but I'm not sure how. The board doesn't really have a way of doing that. I don't know. That doesn't mean it can't be done.
I think it's problematic to try to do anything like that before our October vote, so.
then I'll throw out, if I may.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I apologize, Karen. Go ahead.
So the vote is in October, right?
Yes.
Yes,
At
that's
the
correct.
October meeting?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Yeah, we're required per the bylaws to, in August, appoint a nominations committee, and then at September meeting, the nomination committee presents a slate of potential candidates, and then the October meeting is when we have the actual vote. And it's not to say that this slate that's presented is the final word. There is another month. More people may come on at the October meeting. People may select, I'd like to be considered right there. So this is
Yeah,
not,
so,
this is not
and then it's only the people that like join the Zoom meeting that get to vote? Is that
Yes.
how that works?
The actual attendees in October.
Right.
Okay.
They would have had to have attended a meeting within the year. So as of October of last year, November of last year to this.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
But yeah, you do have to be present at the meeting to vote.
And I'll say, as far as the co-president idea goes, my concern with that, I think, would be that it's one of the benefits of having a single person in that office is you have clarity about responsibility and who's doing what. And it's easy for that to become trickier when there's more than one person there. I will also say that given that Cynthia has much more experience with leadership in the organization, that I would be first in line to vote for her over me at this point, having only had 3 months on the board. That said,
And I would vote for you over me, Sean.
Well, that said,
so you are on the board now. That's right.
See, they're already canceling each other out. It's not going to work.
But I'd be 100% happy to operate in sort of an unofficial understudy mode or do something supportive too, if that ended up feeling like a useful or helpful role to play.
The way it works is the vice president. You have a president and a vice president. The vice president, is maybe someone with experience and is your co-president in that respect. But that's why why you have a vice president.
I recognize the difficulties that we're trying to work out here, but I'm going to sort of side with Jerry on this one. I think co-presidency to me, while it might solve some problems, I think you're setting yourself up for other problems instead. So, but I don't know. We need to solve all of these issues tonight. We have presented who's currently on the slate. Unless anyone else has any other questions or concerns about it right now, I think we might pass on to the next point. Anybody? Something a little less contentious is Linear Park. We keep bringing this up at meetings like we're almost there, but hopefully maybe this time, unless they pull the rug out from us again. Do you want to touch on this, Jerry?
Almost there.
Yeah, we'll see.
So we just sent out a letter. We're on the agenda for the approval of the bond. for September 17th, which is Thursday. And the Beacon Hill Linear Park Committee, who has been working with the city and with parks for the last 2 years, because this is 2017 bond money, we just wrote a letter and sent it to all of the council men and women, you know, telling how well we worked with the city. It took 2 years, but we compromised and they compromised, and we should have a great addition to the park, but it needs to be approved by city council so they can start spending the money and so work can start. So that's where we stand. Everyone should be excited. We should have, we're spending almost, we're asked to spend almost $30,000 to complete the playground on Rosewood. We've added 2 exercise stations. We will have a real entrance to the park from Hildebrand. And in addition to that, we will be adding close to 100 trees in the park. So,
Yay.
you know, we're excited about it. The committee is. I'd be remiss in not saying Daniel is co-chair with me on the committee, Chanda Day, and Cassie Lewis, and from actually Monte Vista, Jim Smile. He has helped us because he is a expert in nature conservancy, and he helped us with the trees. Did I miss anyone, Daniel?
Did you mention Rose?
Rose Cohen Brown. She really got a bunch of understory, meaning shrubs and things like that, added as part of those trees. So that's it. And Sadell, thank you very much. I want to thank Sadell for getting me all of the contacts to send that letter out to the council people. We've already got to chief of staffs of all of them. We've already got some replies from them, and it seems like the letter was taken pretty well.
No problem, Jerry. You all are doing the hard work, so I can help.
Yeah, I do hope that they keep pushing back the vote date. So hopefully this will be the one that finally sticks and we can get it construction going soon.
So it's probably just kind of pro forma, but work can't start until they vote?
Correct.
Yeah, I think the odds of it not passing are minuscule, but it just needs to actually be voted on so it can move forward. So. All righty, so let's go on to committee chairs. Mrs. Eller, do you have anything you wanted to talk about for benevolent funds?
We are communicating with Eric. Is a young man, is a volunteer for the San Antonio School District, and will still accepting donations. We want to be prepared for whatever takes place. We want to be ready when they call. And then I asked Ms. Heller, we need a spiral, we need crayons. We will have all that is needed to reach out to the children. Lola has been a tremendous help, and she's also speaking to the young man. And we're going to set up a day where the young man, either he's going to come by and pick up the school supplies, or we're going to drive to the location. So I am excited. My mission is, and always be, involved in the benevolent fund for the welfare of the children and families in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, it's a little off track, but I don't want to overfill it. Diana, was there anything particularly you think needs to be reported on for the treasurer's report?
No, just not too much activity for the month of August.
All right, okay. I just wanted to touch base on that. Jerry, any thoughts on, I guess we would be getting into planning mode on National Night Out, and that's going to have a serious shift of gears. Anything you want to throw out now in terms of what we might do instead of their standard approach?
I'm open to suggestions. I'm not even sure if I'm going to be here. We just had a grandbaby born 9/11, and they're in Florida. So the city has canceled National Night Out, and we asked about it, and I don't think they were even sure until they sent us an email. What was it, a couple of days ago, Daniel, I think.
Right, yeah, it's pretty recent. They made it official. Kind of surprisingly recent.
What's the date? What is the date again of National Night Out?
October 3rd, I believe, isn't it?
I think that sounds right.
Could be. I'm blanking right now. Is that a Tuesday?
I believe it's October the 6th.
October 6th.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Mrs. Eller. It's the 6th.
Okay.
But soon. I know there's been some talk about, car parades are a big part of celebrations now. So maybe some sort of neighborhood-wide car parade. We had one some months ago. What was I don't remember what that was.
We did a fiesta.
It was a fiesta one, and something about the schools maybe. So possibly it'd be a neighborhood car parade, maybe just encouraging people to be out on their porches. Nothing firm yet, but if y'all have ideas, feel free to float them out there and see if we can get something rolling.
This might be the year to have neighborhood block parties, and the city, of course, suggests everyone turns their lights on for the evening.
Right.
It's all about safety.
Right.
And support your police.
Right. Let's see. What are some of the committees? Zed. Anything from Zed? You're actually muted, Mark.
You're muted, Mark.
There you go.
Okay.
Are you finished? Really enjoyed the article that COSUMA had in the newsletter. And, people have been stepping up, trying to help out. The trouble is we've got an awful lot of people with repairs that are elderly, that don't have the resources to do some of the repairs that are needed. And during a pandemic like this, it's been a real hardship. And it isn't just our District 5. Seems like they've had the largest number of those type of events. Also, what's going on in the neighborhood is we're having a tremendous amount of people, doing repairs without permits. There's an awful lot of construction going on. We've had some properties like the one on Grant and Ashby that had burned down. It's MF33. We've just got plans for the site plans for it today. But that's, it's just been busy, busy, busy. We've had an awful lot going on. And frankly, COSUMA and I are about worn out. We're going to have to, do the best we can to stay on top of things. But it's been a situation where a lot of developers are taking advantage of the fact that people are not out there on the streets and doing a lot of things that are not in the best interest of our neighborhood. COSUMA, do you have anything to add?
I don't have anything to add, but I have a question for Sidel. The councilman met with Development Services, did he not? And can you tell us what the upshot of that meeting was?
Sure. Councilman has had a meeting or two with Development Services. Once we received the concern about the potential targeted code enforcement in Beacon Hill, Councilman did go ahead and send out an email to Development Services supervisors saying that he wanted to look into it. Basically, at this time, he is potentially considering requesting a moratorium on certain things like home repairs outside of the home. And Cosima, based on, you know, what you sent, we also thought it was a great idea to make sure that that would be owner occupied. So that's something that would be in the works. I definitely heard the concern that, you know, we don't want developers taking advantage of the potential moratorium. So if we do go forward with that, I'll provide you all an update, but it will also be targeted for owner occupied homes or, you know, people that are actually living in their homes.
Oh, okay, thanks, Adele. Hold on, I gotta shut my door. The train is coming. I also want everybody to know, even though we're kind of a small group, but if we can spread the word, the city's Neighborhood and Housing Services Department opened up the applications for owner-occupied rehab and reconstruction on September 7th. And so that form can be downloaded from their website. The application period closes October 31st, but that's a citywide program. I think it's citywide, Sidel. No, you know what? I think it's targeted to specific districts. Ours is one of them though. Anyway, so owners that qualify, they can get considerable help with rehabbing their homes if it just needs paint or siding work to full reconstruction. And as soon as I can get a link to that and whatnot, I'm gonna, put that on Facebook, and I'm gonna hope we can publish that in the October newsletter as well. So I think the important thing is that we've worked hard to try to work with code, and code has said that as long as owners are making progress, that they are willing to work with owners on the timeline. I know that the board, according to the minutes that I saw in the newsletter, also had some discussion about possibly setting aside some neighborhood association funds to help with maybe paint or other materials to help some of these people get their houses repaired. I'm working right now with Mr. Perez on Agarita, the 91-year-old, trying to get him trying to just take care of the basics that code's asking for, which is really some paint work and a little bit of siding repair, just to get him off their radar until he can apply for that owner occupied program, and then hope that, he's successful in getting that application. But I think, Sidel, for you and the councilman, I think we're totally backwards on the way this is done. I think instead of trying to be a proactive sort of cooperative arrangement, it's a punitive arrangement. And so if we think about that owner occupied rehab program and we think about code enforcement, code knows where those needs are. I'm not sure why that program has to be done on this lottery basis, and why it can't be done and targeted to those homes that code enforcement has identified need the help, and then those owners would have to qualify. I'm not saying every home that code identifies, but it seems, and the other thing is that was really upsetting was that the code enforcement came in and did that sweep without any communication with either the council district office or with the neighborhood association. And I have mentioned to the code officer and I think to you, Sidel, or the councilman, that if they were to advise the council office and or the neighborhood association, let's say 2 months in advance, that they're going to be coming through, and then we could communicate to our residents, that this is going to be happening. If your home needs some paint work or some other exterior, repairs, this would be the time to do it. If you need help finding some resources, or if you need some help from the neighborhood association, that we could try to put that together. Instead, we're always running after the damn wrecking ball instead of being in a position where we can truly do some good work. So that's kind of been my major frustration. Is to me, it's like we have the cart before the horse.
I definitely hear that concern, Cosima, and sorry, I had some connection issues, but I heard the gist. So far, as you know, we do have a system that's based on people calling into 311 and those concerns being heard. You know, I do agree that there should be some sort of priority given to people that have code violations. So that's something I can also bring up with councilmen. But, you know, all in all, I believe the system as we have it intends to operate, you know, for fairness so that folks aren't saying, you know, this money that we're all putting into certain areas are getting more support with this than other areas. So it's a little bit delicate when it has to do with, you know, taxpayers' money and whatnot. But I can definitely bring it up to him and see what he thinks about that as well.
So Del, none of this was happening until they changed the way the code officer and who the combination of the code and I think it's development services. I haven't seen a code officer since Elia left, and she was just moved after she became well connected with this neighborhood and was doing her job and helping the neighborhood. And you know, that's what we are looking for from a code officer and a safe officer for that matter. And to just willy-nilly change the whole system and have them working a different way is ridiculous.
Enter this thing.
I can pass that along. Thanks for that.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, you're on.
Okay. Is this working? I can't make this work.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Well, speaking as one of the people who was caught in that one of those sweeps and got a notice in the middle of July that I had 10 days to paint my entire house, which is, I've gotten bids for like $15,000 because it's a big project. There's no way to do that. And it is a punitive after the fact thing. And we're left without anything that none of the programs actually apply. I looked through all the stuff on the website, on the city website. The only painting assistance programs are for districts 4 and 5. So what are we supposed to do when, you know, they've
We're not a
changed the-
historic district. How can they tell you to paint?
What?
I don't think they can tell you to paint. We're not a historic district.
Oh,
they
sure
can.
they can. It's
What
protective. It's protective coding is what the citation is.
Well, all right.
Well, but the point is that the only way to do that is painting, and that's going to take, you know, it's going to take more than I can, you know, come up with. There's not resources. None of the city resources are applicable. They don't, you know, they have these supposed programs in districts 4 and 5, but nothing here. The owner-occupied rehab requires you to move out for 3 to 6 months, which isn't necessary and is an expense that would be, you know, just as prohibitive as the painting. And they came through and did this sweep, one of them, and picked out 15 houses within a 3-block radius in less than an hour. So that's not calls into 311 from, you know, concerned neighbors. That's a targeted enforcement by the code officer.
That's right.
Sorry, I had a connection issue there, but I think I have it resolved. It's football night and my roommate is watching on the internet, so maybe that's part of it. I don't know. But Mr. Chadbourne, just to respond to that, I definitely, you know, hear that, and especially during this time, that's what Councilman also hopes to address with code. You know, having such a short turnaround for these issues that are coming up and whatnot. What I want to do for you specifically, if you could put your name and address and best contact number into the chat, I can go ahead and connect with you and try and see if for your specific case, per our office's request, we can make an extension for you. And then, as I was telling Kasima and everybody, that's something we are hoping to address and hoping to, give our neighborhood some breathing space in this time.
Okay, but more time doesn't help if there's no money behind it. That's the problem. Is it's not, it's an expense that is not, not feasible at this point. And a lot of people are probably in the same boat, being that people are out of work. I'm self-employed, but it means all of my work is dried up. So, this is not a point at which I can just come up with $15,000 for a painting project. And whether it's 10 days or whether they, are generous and make it 15 doesn't really help. And the fact that they chose to do this in the middle of July, at the point where the epidemic was in the worst stage, and in the middle of the hottest part of the summer, is frankly kind of insulting and really problematic. And we've had this problem before with code compliance, treating people in this neighborhood, terribly. And theoretically, we had someone, as Jerry was saying, there was this other code officer that had, made an effort to become familiar with the neighborhood, and then they switched that. And so I want to know, I'd like to know why the policy change.
I have two things I wanted to say on that. The first thing, like Cosimo was mentioning, the owner-occupied repair program is something that's, citywide. So that's something that everybody is eligible for. The priority and whatnot for that, I'm not sure. And like you were saying, maybe that's something that we can use to help our people that have, as far as the painting, yes. So there's a house painting program, but it's not available in most districts. It's not available in District 1. So with that specific issue, that's something that I will have to connect with Councilman and Code about. We definitely, the moratorium that I was talking about would not be something that's just an extension of a few days. It would be something that's like an extension through the rest of 2020 until things are back to normal, or whenever Councilman determines is more appropriate or wants to push for. But it would definitely be a more extensive thing. The one thing that is a big question mark for me, as far as I understand, code enforcement is based on a complaint-based system. So when I see, the spike in code enforcement cases in Beacon Hill, it makes me think, okay, well, we were asking like, who's putting these in? What's the reason?
But Al, that's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
Code enforcement drives through the neighborhoods and they look for issues. This goes to a bigger issue of Michael Shannon's leadership and some of the stuff that he does over at DSD. But if we can segue into another conversation, I think we should get Conan and you connected offline so that Conan can speak with you and the councilman on what avenues he might have available to him in his situation. But again, this is a bigger issue with Michael Shannon and his leadership within DSD.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, you all are, from the neighborhood, you know more than I do about this, honestly. So I hear you, I'm listening. And Mr. Chadbourne, if you could put your information in the chat, I'll reach out to you tomorrow.
Okay, I'm not exactly sure how to do that, but I'll see if I can figure it out.
Seidel, why don't you put your email address in the chat button and we can get it to Conan.
Okay, no problem.
Animal care.
What's that?
Animal care.
Oh, yeah. You got some animal care?
I do.
Okay.
I'm Kim. I'm going to talk about animal care, animal welfare, and what you can do to help animals in the neighborhood. So the city has a 311 app that's very convenient, a very convenient way to report code violations. And I report, Jordan is like a rock star. There's like a leaderboard in the app, and he's in the, I don't know, he's number 3 or something. But in any event, you can report graffiti, you can report repairs and construction being done without permits, which is something I do periodically. And I definitely want to encourage people to keep an eye out for animal code violations. It's very easy to report them on the app. You can do it anonymously if you feel more comfortable with that. So some of the things to look for, some of the most common things that I see are loose dogs, especially if you know where they live. The owners will get, at the very least, nag letters. It's not healthy or safe for the animals to be out roaming. And so, you can literally take about 30 seconds, snap a picture if you feel like you can do that safely, submit it, and somebody from ACS will go out and serve them with, at the very least, a warning. Other things that you'll see is that dogs cannot be restrained with chains. They can have a tether, but not a chain. I reported one of those today. Their lead needs to be 10 feet in length. They have to have access to shelter and water, shade. So these are all things that, to be honest, a lot of people are not in compliance with. And so I definitely encourage you to download that app and have it on your phone, and take the time, keep your eyes open. The more of us that report things, if a certain household gets a number of reports for an issue, it'll get more attention. So another thing is there's a limit, I might be confused, a limit of 5 dogs. So if you see someone with like a bunch of dogs, you can't have a litter of puppies without a permit. So if you see puppies, there's a pretty good chance that they're not permitted. So go ahead and report it. So if everyone can spend a little time on that, it would help all of us and the animals. That's it.
All right. Conan, did you spot Sadel's contact info in chat, or were you able to see that? He's there.
Yes, I did.
You got that? Okay. So just want to make sure y'all were able to hook up and continue that conversation after this.
Okay, yeah, I'll send an email right now.
Cool. All right, thanks. And I think that's all it shares. So it's Sadel's floor now. You have anything for us from that D1 office?
Can I go real quick for a community garden?
Oh yeah, sorry.
So there's community garden this weekend, Saturday from 9 to 11. It's not a regular work day. What it is we are having a farmer come. EcoCentral is sponsoring a farmer to come and answer your questions. So tell your friends, and also we have thousands of seeds for fall planting. So free giveaway of seeds. And then finally, the community garden got a grant from Green Spaces Alliance to build a entryway to the Capitol side of the community garden. Blake McAnally and I put in the 4 posts, and this Saturday we will be building the rest of it. So we could use some help because there's some rocks that need to be moved and replaced. And we're even thinking about laying out some bricks for maybe a petanque or bocce court across the street. Thanks so much.
I swung by to look at the gate progress. It's looking great, Jerry. Excited about that.
Hey, so we have a question. If we have plants that we've planted and we just have like a lot extra, can we bring little plants to leave for other people to either plant in the garden or plant at their home?
I'm not the steward, but I would say if they are native plants or they're vegetables.
Like tomatoes and like peppers and stuff.
Okay, tomatoes are that's a little late, but peppers, yes.
People do fall tomatoes.
Yeah, just bring them and see. And then you can pick up some seeds and start some more.
Hey, I just had a quick question too. If there's anything left over done, like I'm really busy on Saturday and Sunday, but if there's any leftover like work that kind of just needs to be done on a Monday, please let me know, because that's like my day off and I don't mind helping out at all. So I'm just busy Saturday and Sunday usually, like almost every week.
Okay, appreciate that, Justin.
Thank you, that's great.
Sadell, I think you are up.
Okay, thanks, Daniel. So hi, everybody. For everyone who doesn't know me, I'm Sadell Brooks. I am your neighborhood liaison for the Council District 1 office for Councilman Trevino. I do the zoning and planning work for him. So I specifically, work with all the neighborhoods when it comes to those issues regarding zoning. If you have questions about that specifically, you can get with Cosima, but her and I work together all the time, as well as Mark Spielman there. Okay, so a couple announcements. The first thing, of course, at this time, our office is closed, but you can definitely reach out to us by email or phone, and we can get right back to you. For those of you who are new or don't know, I believe it's usually in the newsletter as well, but our best email is going to be council.district1@sanantonio.gov. And then our office number should also be in the newsletter as well. But I put my number in the chat. So if you have anything, you can reach out to me, and either myself or one of our staff can respond to you. We know if it's a difficult time, so we're definitely, answering phones, getting back to emails within 24 hours. We definitely want to be a resource to the community at this time and make sure everyone's taken care of. With that, so there are Neighborhood and Housing Services has a variety of services that have been especially useful at this time. They do have the occupied housing repair program, and then they also have rent assistance programs and services. So if that's also a need of yours, or you know someone who might have that need, you can go ahead and send it in to us. My information is there again, so you can send it to me directly, and we can try and help them out. And if you have a question at any time, feel free to stop me. Let's see. National Night Out, as you all are aware, is going to be canceled. We are, hoping to do it in a digital manner. We're definitely working with SAFE and trying to ensure all of them are free on that day or another day, so that we can still meet with them virtually, and folks can get to know their SAFE officer and each other as neighbors. It's not ideal, but we want to make sure that we're all staying safe at this time. Hopefully sooner than later, all of this will be past us. And, District 1 also has a new homelessness initiative that we've put forward. So it's really exciting. We're working with social work interns from Our Lady of the Lake to get it done. They're in our field office, well, not right now, but they're in our field office at this time. And they are just, it's very grassroots, it's very on the ground. So they're going out to the community, trying to get to know homeless folks, hear a little bit about their situation, and see if it's a solution that's sometimes simple. I know we've participated in helping, not the office personally, but some of the members have decided to purchase tickets home for people in like Dallas or something. And so far, I believe in the couple months that it's been started, we've gotten more than 30 people off the street. So it's slow, but it's upcoming. We did also get KSAT coverage because, even more exciting, they're thinking about making this program something that's citywide. And as you all know, I'm sorry. I'm newer to District 1. I used to work for District 2 before, but District 1 is a trailblazer of programs like this. And it's really exciting to see how this might go citywide when it's something we literally started like 2 months ago, and would be receiving funding and all of that. In addition, for homeless issues right now, if you, are seeing, materials that shouldn't be there, like mattresses and that type of thing, it is a difficult time, but we want to make sure our neighborhoods are safe. So those can be reported to homeless outreach at sanantonio.gov. that information. I'll send it to you, Cynthia and Daniel as well. If you send those cases there, it's a special part that they're trying to integrate into 311, and that team just works specifically on homeless issues right now. So I believe that's all we have. I'm definitely, you know, as we go through, I'm listening to concerns. If there's anything you need to know, let me know directly. Feel free to reach out to me or just put it in the chat and I can see it there. But if that's, I think that's all I have. If y'all have any questions for me at this time, please let me know.
Cool, thank you. I particularly want to hope you'll keep us abreast of how that program develops. You know, we're not as bad as some neighborhoods, but we certainly have issues with homelessness here. And I think I could see us trying to maybe roll some of that out here too, as that comes along. So, do you have a question, Susan? Or okay, all right, misunderstood. Anyone else have any points that we bring up or questions for Sidel or anything else they want to talk about? Okay, I think we may be wrapping up then. For those of y'all who haven't had dinner yet, probably itching to get going. So thank you for coming out, especially thank the newcomers for coming out. And hopefully we'll see you again. Okay. Thank y'all.
Good to see you all. Be well.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
I take
Bye,
care
everybody.
of yourself, Miss
Good to
Eller.
see you.
Diana, Robert, it was a good meeting. Very, very well.
Yes.
I like that. Sweet fellowship. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. All right. Night, y'all. Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Trouble from early on.
Yeah.